Today I'm going to talk about when a landlord should consider an eviction in San Francisco. And as you know, evicting a tenant in San Francisco under our rent control legislation is difficult. There are 14 just causes for eviction. I'm not going to go in and name them all right now, but it's very specific when and under what circumstances you can evict a tenant. The most common reason to evict a tenant, and the one that I recommend going for, is non-payment of rent. If a tenant's not paying you rent, then you can evict them. And you know, it kind of depends. If you've got a tenant that you want to get rid of, as soon as their due date comes and goes, you should begin that process immediately and serve them a 3-day notice to pay rent or quit. If you have a good tenant and they're, you know, kind of struggling, maybe you send them a late notice. Maybe you work with them a little bit to get them caught up. My kind of rule of thumb is nobody pays 2 months rent. If the end of the month comes and goes and they haven't paid, you should be on your way to evicting that tenant. And don't let them get 2 or 3 months behind, because they will never be able to come up with that money and you'll never get it back. So once you've decided to evict a tenant, you really need an attorney involved. You can take the first step, which is to serve them a 3-day notice to pay rent or quit. But in San Francisco, it's a very specific 3-day notice. The California Apartment Association has a 3-day notice to pay or quit that you can use everywhere else but San Francisco. In San Francisco, you have to have certain language about the tenant and the rent board and this and that. So I would recommend you hire an attorney in San Francisco that's experienced in doing evictions, and you turn it over to them. And do not wait. If tenants can't pay their rent, it really doesn't get any better. So don't wait. Some of the other more common areas that you could, common reasons that you could evict a tenant are if they habitually pay late. If they are late every single solitary month, or I think the regulation reads more than 3 times in a calendar year, that's ground for eviction. But you've got to document it, and you also have to very clearly warn them that I'm going to evict you if you continue to pay habitually late. If you have a tenant that is making a lot of noise and partying and disturbing other tenants in the building, that can be a tougher deal to go through. And you know, according to the rules and regulations, you might be able to do it, but if they're paying a fraction of fair market value, there aren't a whole lot of judges in San Francisco that are going to take that rent-controlled unit away from them. So if you're doing anything other than non-payment of rent, any kind of nuisance, you need to document. And I would get the advice of an attorney. So it is not easy to evict a tenant in San Francisco, even for non-payment of rent. You know, it can be a process. So don't wait if you have a problem tenant. Get an attorney involved right away. I get calls a lot of times with people who have a building and they've got a problem tenant and they want to turn it over to a property manager. And I'm on the phone with them and saying, I'd love to manage your property for you, but what you need right now is an attorney, not a property manager. So if you've got a problem tenant, it will not go away. You need to deal with it, and you need to deal with it right away. And so that is evicting a tenant in San Francisco. I'm Stephanie Gordon at Gordon Property Management.